Testing, testing, 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear him. Yeah, we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise for the national anthem sung by Tony Bryan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the beautiful Highlander Fieldhouse, where for the first time in 2017, these doors are wide open, they're unlocked, and the stands are packed as we are ready for some high school varsity basketball. It's the Highland Park Scots and the Lake Highland Wildcats here during the Scott Classic, the 54th annual here from Highland Park High School. Hello, everybody, and welcome into this Game On Sports production. I'm Kyle Yeomans, joined by my partner, Kennedy Miller. And Kennedy, this is a Highland Park team that went on a big run in the second, third, and fourth quarters against South Oak Cliff back earlier this week. Now you look at, now you're in tournament play. You're going to play day after day, this being one of 4 games this weekend. What are you thinking if you're Highland Park? You're already 1-0. You put up 90 points the game before, and you're still having to play with 8 players today.
Well, this is what you want early in the year. Coach Peeler has done a great job of working with the schedule like he does every year and getting these guys early competitions, putting them in early tournaments in the regular season to see how they can play day after day, faced against different competition. What are different things that we can do? What are different things that we can't do, so we can get it all out right now?
Definitely so. They were able to put up 90 points on Tuesday against South Oak Cliff on the road in a 90-81 win. That was a game where Highland Park started off at the end of the first quarter down 25-17. They then outscored South Oak Cliff 24-16 in that second quarter to head into the locker room tied up at 41. So we've already seen some resiliency from this Highland Park squad, but the most impressive thing to me is having to play with 8 individuals, 6 of which the other day had double-digit points, getting to that 90-point mark, a mark that Highland Park didn't even reach last year through the entire season, playoffs included. So what are you thinking with 8 players on this squad right now? Is it actually a good thing here for Highland Park?
Well, 90 points by 6 players is an incredible amount of scoring and efficient scoring at that. You know, you start off in high school, there are a lot of guys who are playing football right now. And so a lot of teams have to deal with maybe some of their best players. You're waiting an extended period of time, especially if you're as good as Highland Park football. There is going to be a deep run, hopefully, in the playoffs for the football team. And so you have to work with what you have. And so they have 8 guys now. And, you know, you're going to mix and match different lineups to see what can work early on in the year until we can get some of our main guys back.
As we are underway here for the first time, Highland Park at home in the 2017-2018 season versus Lake Highlands. We'll get you the starters in a minute. Highland Park, of course, wearing the all-white unis as this one's blocked by Landis, picked up by Enzor, and they'll go from left to right on your screen. Lake Highlands, of course, going vice versa. Here's Enzor from way downtown, chucks up the first shot attempt for Highland Park at home this season. It goes awry, and it'll head back to the Wildcats. So let's give that starting lineups first for the visiting Lake Highland Wildcats. Darius Roden, Langston Flowers, Markeith Poston, Ben Swanner, Devin Kinner are your starting 5 for the Wildcats. And then on the other side for Highland Park, Will Enzor, Michael McMonigal, Cade Wagner, the junior Dylan Powell, and then rounding it out, Preston Landis. Here's a 3-point opportunity. This one's going to be taken by Kinner pretty early on as he's able to drain the 3, and Highland Park down by a bucket.
And you see he's playing the 5 position right now, and so that kind of spaces Highland Park out like they normally do to teams where they can play 5-out type of ball.
Landis driving baseline. He's going to be called for the jump ball. Luckily, he wasn't called for a travel there. Could have gone either way. So Highland Park's going to get the ball on the baseline as the possession arrow was in their favor. But it does switch that back over for the remainder of this first half. Powell goes all the way over the top outside the perimeter. What a pass there from McMonigal. Eyes up, looking forward, finding Enzor for the first basket at home.
What a slip by Will Enzor coming off the screen, just finding a sweet spot down there in the lane. They call that the home area, and just putting his hands up, getting ready for that pass.
Highland Park working that man-to-man currently. Powell got picked off on a screen, so Enzor's there with the switch as Lake Highlands driving around the perimeter. This one from the extended elbow, no good. And here's Preston Landis trying for the jump ball again. This time it is going to go back to Lake Highlands. But once again, there's that red arrow on the scores table flipping back and forth as it's now back in favor of Highland Park. Nice play by Preston Landis.
And I was not at the game Monday, but this is my first time seeing Will Enzor this entire year.
That one picked off by Powell. He's going to give it to Enzor in transition. The finger roll lay-in is true, and it's 4-3 Scotties.
How about the beard coming in by Will Enzor? I'm loving it.
There's no dress code here at Highland Park? Looks like a college student.
Good times, good times.
Lake Highlands looking to answer here as the Wildcats sporting the all black, and the numbers kind of hard to see with just the red outline. The only thing separating it from the jersey itself. This one hits back iron, rebounded by Will Enzor. 4-3, just under 6 minutes remaining here in the first. Enzor driving in on the left side of the lane. That one bounces around, hits off of Enzor's knee. He can't believe it, and it'll go back to the Wildcats.
And that was just a great defensive play by Darius Roden. He kind of beat Will Enzor to the spot, going to his right, and just cut him off. It's just a great play by him.
Lake Highlands has really been working around the perimeter as Landis was able to get a hand on it, but it did end up bouncing back to Flowers. Flowers out to Roden from 3, and it's smooth as silk as it seems like Lake Highlands can only hit from beyond the arc because both of their shots that have gone have been from three-point lane.
Darius Roden has come out with a lot of energy. Got to stop on the defensive end and now hit a 3. And he's guarding Will Enzor, so expect to see a lot out of him here tonight.
Enzor had 13 points the other day. Here's Powell. Enzor thought about it from downtown. Spin move, finds Wagner on the baseline. What a pass from Will Enzor. And we saw a lot of that on Monday, but his facilitating has been already off the charts through one game this year. Here's Flowers from way downtown, and I feel like I keep saying downtown because both teams are attempting some magnificently long three-point shots. It's 9-6 in favor of the Wildcats.
And they're shooting it really deep.
Here's Powell from beyond the arc. He's fouled, and it's good. Dylan Powell from 3, and he'll have another one to come here from the charity stripe.
How about Will Enzor? We saw that play numerous times last year, coming down in an ISO and hitting him with the quick spin move. It always puts defenders off guard, forcing the defense to collapse and then finding the open man.
So Powell at the line here for the Scotties, tied up at 9. This would be a chance for Highland Park to retake that lead. And his one free throw is good. 4 points now for Dylan Powell on the single possession. Highland Park averaged just under 1 point per possession, possessions of which they had 100 of the other day in a very quick back-and-forth high-energy matchup against South Oak Cliff that they ended up winning. We talked about that in the open. This Lake Highlands team 1-1 on the season. They've already played 2 games. They beat Adams on the road 60-54. Then they were just demolished by the Colony 96-60. Colony, one of the better teams in the entire state right now. McMonagle did defense. That's going to bounce off of Lake Highlands, and a turnover forced by that Scotty D. And a timeout called here by the Wildcats. Coach Peeler and company excited up off that Scots bench as they do hold a slim 1 point lead here with 3:52 remaining in the first.
And early on, we've seen guys, Darius Roden knocking down shots and Devon Kenner knocking down shots. That last possession, the two of them did not touch the ball. And you saw the other 3 guys were not about to shoot the ball from distance like that. And so once you cut off driving lanes, that's when they force that turnover. So that's a big thing to watch. Will Highland Park sag off those other guys and kind of put the pressure on Roden and Kenner to make them put the ball on the floor instead of just shooting the ball?
And you look at Lake Highlands and where their scoring has come from so far. All 3 shots that have gone through the hoop have been from beyond the arc from 3 different players. You talked about Roden, talked about Flyers, Kenner as well. And then you look at Highland Park, everything that's gone in their hoop has come out of the hands of Will Enzor, with the exception of that Dylan Powell 3-point play with the extra free throw as well. Here's Enzor in the lane, and he will be called for the violation, so they'll hand it back over here to the Wildcats.
Yeah, Will Enzor was called for an offensive foul. I think they saw their right arm kind of extend itself, and they felt that it was an offensive foul, and that's an offensive charge as well.
You're exactly right. A couple different plays here, as there wasn't a foul within the first couple of minutes of this one, but all of a sudden, see 2 in the matter of seconds. Both of them on the offensive side.
And that's good defense by Dylan Powell. He forced his way over that screen, which forced the...
How about that feed?
Pass.
Will Enzor finding Michael McMonagle. Enzor has 2 assists already to go along with his 2 buckets. Lake Highlands with it now. They have Kenner on the outside trying to set up some kind of screen. Give it far side to Poston. Poston to Swanner. Swanner hits from the corner. We're tied back up at 9. Another Wildcat hits from beyond the arc.
And these guys have proven early on that they can shoot the ball extremely well.
How about Cade Wagner getting a try at it? Hits front rim, rims out, and it's rebounded by Roden, heading the other way. There's a pass back to Swanner, works it around, diving in, hitting the floor. A lot of bodies flying around in the paint, but Highland Park comes out with it. Here's Landis in transition, goes up against 2 Wildcats, comes down with a foul. We'll see who it's on, but Landis, no matter what, will be heading to the line.
How about Preston Landis? We called him the catalyst all last year, a guy that hit some big shots in big situations and just gave the team a spark, whether he was coming off the bench or whether he was starting. I really like his game.
3 team fouls already so far for Lake Highlands compared to the 1 for Highland Park, as Enzor's going to check out. We'll see a couple more substitutions as Riley Siebold checks in for the Scotties. Siebold, who had 12 points the other day, had some big 3-pointers that kept Highland Park in that game early on and allowed them to get into position right near halftime to challenge for that ball game that they ended up winning. And this was another turnover. Looks like another offensive foul. This time it's going to be called on Chris White, and that's his first. So Landis will bring it down past half court for the Scotties. Gives it to Powell. Powell also had a big night the other night as well. Siebold back to Powell from beyond the arc. He's already hit one. He hits another. Dylan Powell on fire, 2 for 2 from the field, and another free throw to go with it. He's got 7.
And Dylan Powell's got one of the best-looking shots on the team. They kind of ran that floppy action down there and found him open at the top of the key for the shot.
Another three-pointer from Ben Swanner as he's got 6 already, both off of a triple. Why not? Riley Siebold from 3. We've got a three-point contest on our hands as both teams cannot miss from downtown.
And Highland Park is saying, Lake Highland, whatever you can do, I can do better.
Highland's going to have to try and change things up. They do end up coughing it up in the middle of the paint. Siebold in transition, and he is rejected by his jersey number counterpart, and Darius Roden is the junior, 6'3", just elevated above Siebold, listed at 5'11". Used every inch of that length to get a hand on that ball, as we're going to have another check-in here. Jonathan Naylor will now enter the game, and he's going to get this inbounds pass. He'll pass it back out to Siebold. Why not? Siebold from 3. We're going to say that a lot this year. It's 22-15 Scotties, because that three-point line has been extremely giving for Highland Park so far.
My goodness, Mr. Yeoman. These guys are shooting the ball so well from deep right now.
A little bit more urgency here from the Lake Highlands squad as they're trying to go high off the glass. McMonagle's there for the rebound after it was tipped by Naylor. Here's Landis. Crossover, driving in, can't get it up enough, and Lake Highlands has numbers 5-on-2, back down the court, all the way in transition. Offensive foul. How about the play from Dylan Powell stepping in front and taking the charge from Langston Flowers?
And Kyle, this is exactly what we were talking about before the game. Teams are fine when the game is 0-0, but when Highland Park goes on one of these three-point shooting barrages, how do teams react? What type of shots do they take to keep themselves in the game?
They're still working around the perimeter. Siebold thought about the heat check, instead pulls it back down. He's also 2 for 2 from beyond the arc tonight, along with his counterpart and fellow junior Dylan Powell. Here's Landis trying from 3, and why not? It's a 10-point lead for the Scots as we are ticking down the final seconds here in the first. 25-15 our score.
I'm just waiting for somebody to do the patented Michael Jordan shrug. I don't know how I'm hitting it.
Kicked ball here by Swanner. It's going to go back to the Scots, and they have 12.6 seconds remaining before the end of the first. So Dylan Powell will check it in from the near sideline. He'll give it to Preston Landis, who will bring it up. Isolation for Landis. He's faced up against a taller defender. Takes that mismatch all the way, and he's going to be fouled on his way to the bucket. He had Jonathan Naylor wide open down on the baseline, but with 5.9 remaining in the first, Preston Landis has a chance to add to that 10-point lead. And he does just that.
It seems like this game was just tied at 12-12.
It definitely does.
And all of a sudden, Highland Park hits 3 or 4 threes in a row, and Lake Highland has a couple of charges, a bad shot in the post, and now they're down by 12 at the end of the first.
Yeah, they're down by 12 with that final free throw. Here's one final chance as Maxi's going to have to pull up. Tried to get the contact from Preston Landis, didn't do so, and what an end to that first quarter for Highland Park. 27-15 is the score after 8 minutes of game action. And kind of how you talked about earlier, Kennedy, I want to go back to early on whenever this game was back and forth and where Highland Park and Lake Highlands were trading those three-point opportunities. It really kind of turned into a case of what you can do, we can do better. Highland Park was outshot in the first 2 or 3 minutes of that period. You turn around and, well, Highland Park lit the place on fire from beyond the arc, and they just didn't seem to miss in those final 4 minutes.
Oh, definitely. These guys are saying these are our goals. We practice on these every day. If you can shoot on them, you best believe we can shoot on them as well. And some of the looks are contested, but most of the looks are coming off good ball movement, good passing on the offensive end, and they're finding the open man. And so they're shots that are in rhythm. They're not out of rhythm shots. They're not forcing anything. They're just playing good basketball. And so that's why you look up, and it was 12-12, and now it's 27-15.
You look at some of the scorers from Highland Park. It's the same group that did it against South Oak Cliff as well, as you have Riley Siebold with 6. He's hit 2 3-pointers. Preston Landis has 5. He's hit a 3-pointer. You've got Dylan Powell with 7. He's 2 for 2 from the field with a free throw added on, as he was fouled as he shot his free three-pointer. So the same kind of crew. Will Ensor sat out the final 4 minutes of that first quarter, even though he had some facilitating as well. So it's really been a conservative effort from everyone on the floor, as we're going to have Ensor, Powell, Naylor, Siebold, and Wagner out on the hardwood to start things off for the Scotties. Here's Ensor from the extended elbow. He's working one-on-one, trying to work up against and work baseline against Maxey. And the Wildcats are able to force a turnover heading the other direction. Wagner was looking for the foul. Instead, he found Devin Kinner with a nice readjustment there at the basket and was able to lay it in. Siebold from way downtown got it to rim out. Powell was there for the putback, and it just couldn't fall. And so Lake Highlands with another chance here to cut into that deficit from the corner. Three-pointer, good from Preston Lawrence. His first bucket of the game. And another 3 here from the Wildcats. They, so far, have hit 6 of them.
And an interesting point, they also went on this run without Lake Highland having Darius Roden in the game, who was a big impact player for them early on. And so they've scored a couple of points coming out of here, but how will they handle with Darius Roden still on the bench?
Ensor thought about it, instead got it back to Wagner from 3, couldn't do so. And the dish from Ensor just a little bit too hot for Jonathan Naylor to handle, and it goes out of bounds on the baseline and back over to the Wildcats. So already a 5-0 run to start off this second quarter here for Lake Highlands. And if you're the Wildcats, this is a huge opportunity to just at least climb yourself back into the game. You're not trying to tie things up. That was almost a travel on the far side and kind of a desperation heave right at the end from the Wildcats. Powell trying to get it to Wagner, too close for comfort. Naylor almost poked that ball away from Flowers, and finally the Wildcats are able to slow some things down. Wide open shot, straightaway 3, high arcing shot, no good. Rebounded one-handed by Jonathan Naylor, and the student section loves it.
And you see in a lineup where Lake Highland only has 1 shooter, Coach Peeler has now switched to a 2-3 zone to start this second quarter off to kind of force them to shoot the ball and keep them out of the paint.
Saw him do that against Denton Geyer in the scrimmage the other day, and you really saw the confusion that that 2-3 zone had for one of the top teams in 6A in the entire state. How about Will Ensor? The adjustment in midair to put that one to the bottom of the net was outstanding.
I mean, he looks a little bit bigger, too.
He does.
I mean, he just looks like a man among boys out here today.
Wouldn't be surprised to see some college scouts come a-calling to Will Ensor anytime soon. Just an all-around baller. He is going to be called for the foul here, though. His second of the afternoon. He fouled out the other night at South Oak Cliff, so hopefully he won't get into any more foul trouble. Only the second foul, though, for Highland Park as a team, as compared to 6 for Lake Highlands. Over the entire defense goes that baseline pass. Jump shot from the elbow. It's rebounded by Naylor. He'll be fouled. And with possession, as Naylor's going to end up trying to call for a substitution here, he might have to shoot a free throw.
And those are the types of shots you want in that 2-3 zone. You want contested 2s, off the dribble. That's a shot that Coach Peeler would live with any day.
So Naylor is going to go in and go ahead and just shoot that free throw. He was holding that right knee of his. As Landis has checked in at the scorer's table. I believe they're also going to bring up Jack Palms as well, another senior. As Landis is going to check in here for Powell, and Palms is going to have to wait for Naylor's free throw. That is good. Jonathan Naylor's first point of the 2017-18 campaign. First point of a varsity level. You always wait for that one. Get it out of the way, and he finally has as Ensor checks back in, this time for Riley Siebold.
And what easier than on the free throw, you know? There's no, there's not really any pressure that you can say my first shot was on a free throw, and that kind of got my legs under me. And now I can calm down and just focus on playing basketball.
Not to mention, it does put his team up by 10. You always like to see a little bit of extra oomph there from the free throw line, and they are going to get Naylor out of there after a 2-for-2 trip from the free throw stripe. So checking in, Jack Palms, the senior forward, who also looking for his first point, could have a chance to get it here. 31-25-15 remaining in the second quarter.
It'll be interesting. This 2-3 zone looks a lot bigger now that Cade Wagner is in the middle, and you got Will Enzo on the outside.
Yeah, they're going to work with Roden up top, trying to direct the offense against that Highland Park 2-3 zone. Whenever you have two guys up top like Preston Landis and Riley Siebold, it's going to be a lot of fun, and a very timid foul call from the official on the far side, as it's like Roden's going to head to the free throw line. It didn't look like he was necessarily sure about blowing the whistle there.
Well, Darius Roden, he kind of fell at the end of the shot, and you always want to let shooters land. That's a new rule that referees are trying to emphasize. And so every time a referee feels that a shooter has been contact made with a shooter, they're generally gearing towards calling a foul.
(31-22). Darius Roden with 4 points already. And he's going to miss that second free throw. It's the first missed free throw for either squad tonight, as Landis is going to take it up. Siebold is his outlet pass. He will get it to Riley.
And now you see Lake Highland is transformed into a 1-3-1 zone.
I was about to say, is that what that was? Very unconventional look, and Highland Park's having a tough time finding passing lanes. They're having to go over the top of everything. Well, Siebold's wide open right now. He's calling for it. He's going to get it. Siebold, who's been on fire, instead drives in, gets fouled on his way up, and had his field goal attempt rim out, but a nice, smart veteran move there from Riley Siebold to go ahead and drive in.
Well, one thing about this team is they're really long, they're really athletic, and so they can take up a lot of space when they spread their arms out like that, and it kind of makes you throw the ball over. And especially if you haven't seen the 1-3-1 and they just end up in that zone, you have to take a couple of seconds to adjust, to see where you need to be, because in the 1-3-1s you have to attack the corners and on the wings.
He gets both the fall after the foul attempt. And so Lake Highlands down by 11. Highland Park continuing to hold that double-digit lead here in the second quarter after the long run that they went on in the first. Not as emphatically, as there's a charge called. Another foul on the Wildcats. Cade Wagner hit the floor, and he knows exactly that he did a nice job. Went right back down the floor. Almost looked like nothing happened.
And that's why we called him last year Max Man Cade, because it's the little things that get you the big bucks in the NBA. You're getting max dollars, Max Man Cade.
It's the second foul for Poston down low. They're going to find Siebold in the corner. Takes one dribble after the pump fake, and off balance, falling on the baseline. Riley Siebold can't miss.
And I thought Siebold would have taken the contact and tried to get 3 shots.
Thought so too. No whistle though, as Lawrence answers on the other end. It's back to a 12-point lead.
Now these guys are back in their man-to-man defense, just trying to confuse Highland Park each time coming down the court.
Here's Landis off balance with contact, and the bucket is good. Preston Landis again, and the senior has 8 on the night. Another shot there from Lawrence, as here's Enzor trying to work through some traffic on the far side. There's 2:45 remaining here in the second quarter. Palms has it up top, working around the perimeter. Back to Wagner. Wagner pulls up. No good, and it'll rebound back over to the Wildcats. They're going to give it back into that far side corner. That's where it's been working for the Wildcats so far. Another open shot here for Lawrence. Preston Lawrence can't miss. Right now, he's got 6 on the evening.
And before the scrimmages last week, Coach Peeler was telling us how it's not a lot of drivers on this team. I think this Highland Park team is doing a good job tonight of finishing around the rim.
Whistle blown down on the baseline as palms hit the floor. Highland Park still up by 11.
Looks like that's going to be the first foul on Swanner.
That's the 10th team foul for Lake Highlands here in the first half. Still got 2:08, so from here on out, every foul on the floor will result in 2 Highland Park free throws, I should say.
And how about Jack Palms down there fighting for position and just kind of making them call that foul down there because he was jockeying for position so much that it was a foul on Lake Highland.
That's exactly what you've seen from Jack Palms and Jonathan Naylor so far, is just the energy that they bring to the table. As here's Palms, and there's his first point on varsity. His career underway as Palms will check out and McMonigle will check back in here for Coach Peeler and company. McMonigle has 3 points on the evening.
And that's what you need, guys that'll make minutes by providing energy, diving on the floor, fighting for loose balls. You need those couple of guys on the team that are not worried about looking flashy. They just want to do the little things to keep this team winning.
This one poked away by Landis out of midair. In transition, he's got 2 Wildcats on him. It doesn't matter. Preston Landis fights his way to the hoop. He has double digits. He's at 10 points. And a timeout called by Coach Duffield and the Wildcats as it's a 41-27 Highland Park lead as they are up by 2 touchdowns here with 1:37 remaining.
Preston Landis saying to us, new year, same me. I'm still the catalyst for this team. I can still explode on anybody at any moment and give our team the best chance to win.
He's definitely done that throughout his Highland Park varsity career. You talked about it earlier. We used to call him the catalyst last year because he wasn't necessarily a starter, but he was that 6th man, that first guy off the bench, and somebody that you could really expect to come in and hit a huge shot, whether it was from beyond the arc, whether it was down low on the low block, fighting for position like that last one was. But he also, on the defensive side, he's just quick. In a lightning quick second, Preston Landis is able to get a hand in a passing lane, and all of a sudden Highland Park's running the other direction.
And how about the sense of awareness? A lot of guys would pull that ball out and start to reestablish the offense, but he knew that somebody would be flying behind him. He pump faked and then was able to finish around the rim for the layup.
Definitely so. Seabold, Landis, Wagner, McMonigle, Inzor are the Scots on the floor. Wagner's there to pick it off. He's got Landis to his left, takes it all the way, and the finger roll, fingers, where it goes, falls down into the hoop as Highland Park now up by 16.
And how about Coach Peeler coming out of that timeout? We're going to trap on the wings, and we're going to deny the pass. And so that's why it was that easy turnover and got the easy layup by Maxman Wagner.
McMonigle's going to be called on the blocking foul here. Only the 4th team foul for Highland Park. And the first on McMonigle, who also fouled out the other day.
That's another thing that was incredible about that South Oak Cliff matchup that Highland Park was able to take advantage of, was the fact that Will Anzor and Michael McMonigle ended up fouling out in that ball game. But nonetheless, they still ended up putting up 90 points.
And those are 2 of your best grinders down low. And so what a...
And there's a foul down low. Wagner hit the floor, and it looks like that might be on Markeith Poston. If it is, that's his 3rd foul of the evening. It is going to be his 3rd foul, and he's in trouble.
And now Cade Wagner's shooting free throws, and that's just a dumb foul that you would commit down there when the ball is not even in play.
Wagner does miss the first free throw that he has taken tonight. He missed one the other day at South Oak Cliff, but made the rest of them. It was also his first attempt. Maybe he just has to get that first one out of the way. Second one no good this time, and the rebound by Chewicki. One of the better names, all-state name team, Victor Chewicki, into the game for the first time tonight, listed at 6'4". Got some length on him, or some strength on him, I should say, instead of length.
Look at his
some
arms.
big biceps.
My goodness. What workout plan do you do, young man?
Landis almost there to knock away the pass. Here's Swanner from downtown, and he hits again. His third triple that falls, and just like that, the Wildcats are back within 12, but with about 40 seconds remaining on the clock, we'll see if they get another possession here. Saw this the other day at the Sprague Fieldhouse in Dallas with that South Oak Cliff matchup, but Highland Park held for about 20 seconds, but they got a wide open three-point look from Riley Siebold right at the end of the half. He had to take it, did, and added another 3 points, tied up the game.
And there's so much ball movement around this perimeter that you kind of have no choice but to switch, and that's what Highland Park wants, confusion.
Charity stripe jumper, no good. Wagner there for the rebound. It'll go out of play, and there's half a tick remaining here in the first half of action. So that's going to do it. A long heave from the Wildcats. Not even close. There's a lot of whistles. I'm not sure exactly what's happening. We might have to replay that final possession. They're going to put half a second back up on the clock, so maybe one final heave again here for the Cats.
And so there's going to be another full court heave.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking is about to happen. Probably going to give it to Maxey here, who's sitting. Nope, they're going to give it right back to Swanner. This time it was basically a mirror image of what had happened before the whistles were blown as both teams head to the locker room. Highland Park has a 12-point advantage at the halftime break, 43-31. Kennedy, what are your thoughts from that first half of action?
I mean, it was just a great shooting performance by I could name people. I'm just going to say the whole team. It was a great shooting performance by Highland Park. Great coaching strategy to come out in this 2-3 in the second quarter. Kind of gave them confusion early on. They trapped it a couple of times and got some easy steals and were able to get out on the break. Also, it was a lot of fouls being called on Lake Highland, which allowed Highland Park to get to the free throw line and get some easy shots as well as knocking down those threes. So a great first half. You've still got the same lead that you had at the end of the first quarter, and so you can look at that as being a plus and move on from it in the second half.
So 10 points for Preston Landis, 11 points for Riley Siebold. Those are your team leaders for the Scotties through 16 minutes of game action as we're at the halftime break here for the first time at the Highlander Fieldhouse. We'll be back with the second half full of more action as Highland Park leads it by 12. You've been watching Highland Park basketball and HP Scott's Classic for the 54th annual year right here on Game On Sports.
What was Monday?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Highlander Fieldhouse, where the Highland Park Scots hold a 12-point advantage. 43-31 is the score here at the halftime break. The Highland Park Scots and the Lake Highland Wildcats here, presented by Game On Sports in Kennedy. That first quarter was a shootout between these two squads, both of which who already have a win on the 2017-2018 campaign, but Highland Park really took advantage in that second quarter.
They certainly did, and they started throwing in different wrinkles defensively, threw in that 2-3 zone, which they're into right now because they had some success out of it, getting some turnovers, getting out in the open court, and getting some easy layups. These guys are just shooting the ball extremely well. They're in their own gym, and what can you expect?
How about the alley-oop opportunity, or I guess I should say attempt, as Darius Roden and Lake Highlands, their first play out of the halftime break, a alley-oop look. What do you think about that one?
You always expect the coaches to drop a nice play coming out of halftime to get your team going a little bit.
It looks like a foul called on Highland Park. It's going to be against Michael McMonigal, his second of the evening, and the ball will go back to the Wildcats.
And so now Highland Park is in a 3. It looks like a 3-2 now, which Coach Peeler talked about at the scrimmage. A lot of teams don't know how to play against it.
Yeah, they're switching some of the different looks up. Lake Highlands taking their time on offense, something they didn't necessarily do in the first half, as Landis is there for the rebound after the missed tray from Kenner.
Well, early on in the game, Lake Highland was able to take their time when it was around the same score, 10-9, but when Highland Park went on a run, that's when a lot of teams make bad decisions and take highly contested bad shots.
How about Dylan Powell with the pump fake, lost his defender, drove in, and with a burst of speed, lost the ball. And that one caroms off a defender and out of bounds on the baseline.
I appreciate Dylan Powell for the unselfishness right there, but I thought he should have shot that shot in the mid-range. It was a great pump fake, like you said. I thought he just should have taken that shot.
McMonigal down low, fighting for some position, has to twist his way all the way to the far low block. He's hacked on the way up, and he will head back to the free throw line.
How about Mike McMonigal not rushing the process, as Philadelphia Sixers fans would say? He got the ball kind of bobbled a little bit. A lot of guys would have gone up right there, but he gathered his feet, took a drop step, and then ended up getting fouled, now going to the free throw line.
1 for 2 now from the line after that missed field goal shot. He had 10 points the other day against South Oak Cliff in that annual rivalry. One thing I do want to mention, though, 54th year here of the HP Scots Classic, as this one Hard off the back iron, rebounded by Inzor, and the possession will stay alive. Preston Landis thought about it straight away. Instead, he's going to drive in. He's hacked on the way up. And back to the charity stripe goes Preston Landis. But I do want to talk about just the outstanding tradition that Highland Park has had here with this basketball program. 54 years of basketball tournaments here at Highlander Stadium. Or Highlander Fieldhouse Stadium across the way, of course. But it's just incredible to me how often and how consistent they are with supporting their athletic programs.
I mean, it's amazing. And the girls' basketball team was playing earlier, and it was actually my first time watching those young ladies perform. And they look like the basketball team. They look like they can give the Highlander boys a run for their money with the way that they won and in the fashion that they won. It's just amazing how many sports they excel in as a school. We talk about they're state champions in almost every sport you can think of. And that, coming where I come from, that's just amazing to me.
Definitely so. Here's Lake Highlands trying to answer after the 1-for-2 trip from the free throw line for Preston Landis. Whistle blown, and it looks like McMonagle might be called for the push again. So that's the third on Michael, his second here in the third quarter. And he'll check out, making way for Jonathan Naylor to check in here for the Scotties. Baseline pass coming here for the Wildcats. They're going to have to go over the top, and they're able to find Kenner. Kenner thought about the three, instead gives it back up, aims, fires, and he is able to hit the mark. And just like that, the Cats are back within 10.
And Kenner's got a good shot. A lot of times he's been hesitating on taking it, but he's one of the guys that can let it fly and clearly has a green light on that Lake Highland team.
The Wee being run out front. Here goes Inzor up and under. And he wasn't able to do it. Here's a burst of speed here for Lake Highlands the other way, and the pass goes just a bit awry. And that goes out of bounds and back to the Scots here with 5:34 remaining in the third period.
And that's a big unforced turnover by the Highland Park team. A team that's down, this Lake Highland team is down by 10 points. That could have cut it to single digits. And now Highland Park has the ball back. And you've got to think they're waiting on this opportunity to kind of put the game away.
Post move up and under goes Inzor, and the bucket falls. Another nice play there from Will Inzor. And he just continues to show the magician that he is.
And what can't this guy do? We see the perimeter game. We see the playmaking ability. But now we see him in the post with a beautiful up and under move.
A lot of contact down low. Powell went sliding on the floor, but the bucket good for Lake Highlands as another bucket falls, this time for Langston Flowers. He has 5 on the night. Here's Landis, loses his defender, hacked on the way up, and it landed awkwardly on that right knee. He's up and walking, and he will head back to the free throw line where tonight he is 4 for 5 so far. 11 points on the evening here for Preston Landis. Coach Peeler drawing up a play on the far side with 4:44 remaining as this one clangs in and out.
Highland Park has missed a couple of free throws here tonight.
Definitely so.
Unusually, I wouldn't say alarming, but it's at an unusual rate for how disciplined this team normally is.
Landis is able to convert on that second free throw as he now has 12 on the night. Highland Park made 73% of their free throws in that matchup against South Oak Cliff on Tuesday. 33% from beyond the arc. I'm sure that percentage has gone up. And then they also had 52% from the field. Not really sure that one's at. It's probably right around the same. How about the block from Cade Wagner? His second block of the year. This one skimmed on the floor to Landis. Flying in on the baseline. Blocking foul called. And again, Preston Landis with the contact will head back to the free throw line.
And that's Max Man Wagner for you. There's no other way we can say it. The wet help, way to block the shot right at the point at the rim, and way to get the ball out to get it pushing and get the foul call.
And it looks like a timeout called here by Lake Highlands to talk things over. 4:16 remaining as we were just over that halfway mark here in the third period. Highland Park up by 11. And this has really been a game where we've seen a couple different Highland Park teams. You saw the one early on that could shoot from anywhere beyond the arc. This time, here in the late second quarter, third quarter now. You're looking at a team that's really looking at attacking the basket and trying to fight down inside that key.
And getting defensive stops. They don't want this to be a high-scoring game. They don't want you to be able to go toe-to-toe with them. We want to score. We want to execute offensively on offense, and we want to get stops defensively. And they've done a better job of that in the second half, kind of taking away some of the things that Lake Highland wants to do. Sure, they've had some shots go in, but a lot of the things that they got in the first half, the open three-point attempts, they're not getting in this second half, and that's why they're struggling so much to cut this lead to single digits and get back in this ball game.
So Highland Park, with a couple free throws to come, have a chance to push their lead now to 13 if Landis is able to convert. Long weekend here for Highland Park basketball. Landis at the free throw line as this is game 1 of 4 for Highland Park. They'll play tomorrow at 4:30. We'll be on the call for that one as well. Right back here in the main gym against the high school or the Homeschool Athletic Association. Another 1-for-2 trip from the line for Preston Landis. He's got 13 on the night.
And this may just be me, Kyle, but this game feels a lot worse than just a 12-point lead.
Oh, definitely so.
It feels like Highland Park is up by 20. The momentum is just all the way on their side. It doesn't seem as much fight from this team as it was early on in the game when it was along the lines of 10-9.
How about the rebound from Preston Landis and the assist to Cade Wagner, who got some hand on the rim. That might be the first dunk of the year for Highland Park. We'll have to go back and look at the tape, but Cade Wagner again down low, carves it inside. He's got 6 on the night.
And I'm impressed, Max Man Wagner. He's just earning extensions every time.
Another whistle down low. This time Lake Highlands earns a trip to the line, and Victor Chewicki will head there. He's listed at 6'3" on the roster, and we talked about how big he is, that big body down low. He's a tough player to defend for sure. 3 fouls so far for Highland Park here in the second half. 4 have been called on Lake Highlands. This one rims out, no good. And this will stay with Lake Highlands as it bounces off a white jersey. And the Scotties will have to play some more defense here after the 1-and-1 was no good. Chewicki checks back in. And then he's going to check back out. A little confusion from the scores table on the far side as the officials want to make sure they get it right. That one tipped around. Able to find it outside to Swanner, and he hits from beyond the arc. The 4th three-point make for Ben Swanner tonight. The senior guard has been able to camp out beyond the perimeter for quite some time, and he's taken advantage.
And I definitely thought that Darius Roden would have taken that 3, but nice job by him to pass it out to the open man.
Here's Roden slinging this one to Swanner. Works it near side. The pull-up jumper from the extended elbow is smooth from Keelan Waxy, as Maxey has his first point, or his first make of the night. And just like that, it's only a 7-point lead. Lake Highlands is back into this ball game. If you're Highland Park, you have to be careful and take advantage of every possession here in the next couple of minutes. 2.5 minutes remaining here in the third. Here's Enzor, baseline, carves it inside, just missed the lay-in, and he'll be called for the foul, as it looked like Roden got tripped up on Enzor on his way down, and Will slow to get up, favoring that right ankle. And timeout called by Coach Peeler. Smart timeout to try and let Enzor walk it off as he is continuing to limp his way to the bench. Hopefully Will Enzor's okay and he'll be back in the ball game soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see him out here during this next possession, though, as a precaution.
Most definitely, and that was a great up and under move. He tried to get it off the left hand because I think he thought the help would have been coming, but it was wide open if he had just finished on his dominant hand on the right hand. But it was a great move by Will Enzor. Shot just didn't go down. But those are the type of plays that you have to get, wide open opportunities when the momentum isn't really going your way. You don't want to take tough shots. You don't want to take quick shots, just driving the ball up the court because the momentum is not in your favor, so you want to take the right shots to ensure that you keep this lead.
If you look at Lake Highlands, they haven't been doing anything special. It hasn't been a long double-digit run. It hasn't been anything just remarkable from the outside. It's just a nitty-gritty, put a little bit of elbow grease into it and try and find your way back into this ball game. That's exactly what's happened, and the Wildcats are within striking distance.
And for Highland Park, what the main focus is to just get stops. If you get stops, then you'll end up having the lead still. And so you just execute, get the stops on the defensive end, and you'll give yourself the best chance to win.
Swanner back to Roden from three, hits the front rim, caroms off, and the rebound ripped down by Dylan Powell. Here's Landis. The swing to the corner, Siebold, no good. Thought maybe off of that initial hit off the iron that it might have fallen, but instead the Cats the other way. This one too strong. It's ripped down by Roden, and another foul called on Will Enzor as he pleads his case. Enzor has 4 again. 8 points on the night for Will Enzor, one of the biggest facilitators for this Highland Park squad, and with 1:41 remaining in the ball game, he's going to be extremely cautious here throughout the next 10 minutes of game action, and so is Coach Peeler as he's going to pull out Enzor, replaced with Jack Palms, senior for senior, and see exactly what they're able to do. This one goes over the top as it's going to be reeled in by Kenner.
And that's a smart substitution by Coach Peeler. We know how valuable Will Enzor is, and so just like you said, substituting a senior for a senior. Jack Palms has shown a lot of energy off the bench. You're not worried.
Maxey hits from downtown. We've got a 4-point game. Landis will bring it back here for the Scotties. Landis has been extremely quiet here in the last couple of minutes. Took a couple hard hits down low. Maybe that's a reason, as here's Powell on the perimeter. Back behind to Wagner, right near that HP logo at center court. Palms back to Siebold. Guarded really closely by Roden. Palms backing down, giving it to Landis from beyond the arc. It's good. The student section goes wild as Preston Landis converts, and the catalyst is back.
And the thing is, in high school, there is no shot clock. So you can take the time all you want to get the best shot.
Another 3-point try there as Wagner's fouled down low. That's foul. That might be foul number 5. It is on Markeith Poston, so that'll do it for the senior forward. That's a big presence taken out of the key. 6'4", 200 pounds, a starter for Coach Joe Duffield, and just like that, he's done for the night. So a quick meeting on the Highland Park sideline to talk things over with Coach Peeler. He was trying to sneak one in as Lake Highlands was making some substitutions, but the officials were able to snuff that out before it happened.
And that was a bad shot down there on Lake Highland. Preston Landis hits the 3. You try and go 3 for 3. It was a contested shot. It was early. And now the momentum could be reeling towards Highland Park again.
Landis with 30 seconds left, working baseline. He's trapped. He needs to get out of it. Ends up throwing it straight into Maxey, who brings it down. Burst of speed, swings it to the left. This one cross court, picked off by Palms. Landis in transition. Thought about it, stepped back, picked up the pivot foot, no call. Highland Park's going to reset. Siebold from the corner, thought twice about it, and a smart play by Siebold. Wagner has 5 seconds left. He might just have to pull up. 3 seconds and a double dribble called. And so Highland Park will concede possession with 2.5 ticks left here in the third quarter. And one final chance here for Lake Highlands to secure a solid third quarter result after being blown out in the first and second. Here's Maxey from half court. 1 second on the clock. Didn't get it off. There's no way he got that one off. It should be no good. It is no good. And there it's going to be a 7-point Highland Park advantage as we head into the final frame.
And if I'm Highland Park, I'm not overly happy, but I'm still content because this game could have easily been tied up at the end of the third quarter with the shots that Lake Highland was hitting later on in that quarter. And so to be up by 7 going into the fourth quarter, it's really a plus. If you're Highland Park, now you know that you just need to get a couple of stops. This team is going to take some shots early to get back into the game. If you can withstand the storm early, you'll definitely give your team a shot to win.
And these are the type of games that you love to see in non-district tournament play. You look at what Highland Park's going to be able to face later on the season against a West Mesquite team that went 4 rounds deep, against a Mesquite Poteet team that's pretty solid. You've got North Forney as well that's on the up and up. But overall, this is the type of game, a very competitive back-and-forth bout between these two squads that it's in non-district action. Nothing extremely important is on the line. Yeah, you want to win your own tournament, but if you lose a game like this, at least you learn from these types of matchups. We saw a high-paced game against South Oak Cliff that Highland Park was able to win. Now you've got kind of a nitty-gritty battle in the trenches between a Lake Highlands team that's going to benefit you down the road.
And you talked about it earlier. You brought it to point. It's only 8 guys. It's not your complete team. And so you're putting these 8 guys through a gauntlet. They're going to have to fight every night. You're going to have to work with odd lineups that may not be your lineups come district time. And so in the end, it makes your team better off because you've been in every situation. Every guy has had ample playing time. And in games like this, it's crucial playing time where it means something.
Palms has it. Tried to get it to McMonigal, and it's picked off by Lake Highlands. Here's Roden the other way. It's rejected by Wagner. A highlight reel block as Wagner came out of nowhere and sent that one off the baseline.
And that's where he turns from Maxman to Swagner. Did you see how high his arms reached to block that shot? I mean, meet me at the mountaintop, and Mr. Wagner will be there with you.
An unbelievable defensive play from Cade Wagner. And that shot way off the mark from Highland Park. Almost did it again. Instead, the bucket is good. And the foul called. We'll see exactly who it's on. I believe it is going to be on Maxman Wagner. And that's going to be his first. All 5 players from the Scots before that foul who were on the floor currently had not been called for a foul throughout the ball game. So as Preston Landis checks back in, he has 2. That will change. And 1 more to come here from Roden. And the free throw is no good. Picked up by Landis. And he's in trouble. Back to Maxie. Will Enzor re-entering with kind of an injured ankle, hobbled off early on. He also has 4 fouls to his total as well. So we'll see how active Will Enzor is. Landis, 3, no good as he let it fly. Couldn't get it to fall, and it'll stay with Highland Park on the baseline as Landis was pushed. And that's another foul, the 3rd on Devin Kiner.
And Willa Enzor has got to know that he does have 4 fouls, and Coach Peeler just put him in, and he's probably not going to take him out. It's 7 minutes left. They're up by 5. He's your guy. You got to keep him in this entire time, so Will Enzor has got to be extremely careful.
He's your guy indeed, and he takes it to the hoop, attacking the left side, and able to get it to roll home. 55-48, 7 minutes remaining here in this one. A defensive bout between the Highland Park Scots, the Lake Highlands Wildcats. Offensive rebound here from the Cats. Here goes a travel. I believe it is going to be a travel on a Roden. Lake Highlands thought it was going to be a foul. Instead, he had his feet moving before the shot attempt actually was put off.
And how about cutting him off at the point of attack? He beat him to his spot, took the contact, and ended up forcing Darius Roden to commit a charge. Or travel, excuse me.
Siebold looking for Wagner down low, and a beautiful play set up by Coach Peeler and company. You can see how happy he is on that far sideline, and the Scots are back up by 9. 6.5 minutes remaining as Kiner has it, resetting up top, looking for the screen from Maxey. Drives, carves his way in. Enzor was there for the block, but it looks like a foul is going to be called beforehand. I was about to get as excited about that Enzor block as I did for the Wagner block as well, but overall, Highland Park with their 17th foul, so Lake Highlands in the bonus now throughout the end of the ball game. 1-1's to come for the next 3 fouls on the floor.
And Kiner had hit 2 threes in that first half, and ever since then, he's still been taking them, but he hasn't knocked down any threes. He kind of takes them out of rhythm. He holds the ball for a couple of seconds and then just kind of shoots it up. And so maybe going to the free throw line will help him get his rhythm back, but just a couple of bad shots that he's taken in the second half.
Had 8 points in that first half, only has 12 on the entire ball game, as he's had half as many here in the second half, as this one's knocked away by Kiner, aforementioned Devin Kiner, a junior guard. It's got some good size on him. It's only listed at 6'2". I think he might have a couple extra inches. Maybe right around a 6'3", 6'4", as Landis almost went backcourt as Maxey was there. Gives it to Siebold from downtown, and almost from the other area code was able to hit. Instead, the Cats running the other way from 3. High arcing shot, no good from Roden. Picked up by Maxey, and he'll go high off the glass to bring the Cats back within 6. Siebold back around to Enzor up top, now back to Preston Landis. 1-on-1 against Maxey. Wagner picks up his dribble. Enzor has McMonagle down low. He's going to feed it to him, and it goes off the hands of Michael. Senior can't handle it. Here's Roden in transition. Foul called on Preston Landis, his 4th. So 2 Scotties now in foul trouble. And as Enzor and Landis are both 1 foul away from taking a seat for the remainder of this one, not to mention Michael McMonagle also has 3 fouls, and the first free throw good here from Roden.
And Enzor in the post has looked really good here tonight. And if Darius Roden is guarding him, I would look to put the ball in Will Enzor's hand in the post yet again, because he's got an array of moves down there. And as we saw on the last possession, which ended up in a turnover, he's also willing to facilitate out of the post, and so you can get a lot of different looks from that area.
Chewicki and McMonagle got locked up down on the low block as Jonathan Naylor checks in for Cade Wagner. Landis has it. He's going to blow past Maxey to the hoop. Landis able to carve his way inside, and with another finger roll, he's able to put the Scots back up by 7. Here's Roden again, the wing extended. That one knocked away by McMonagle, picked up by Landis in transition. Siebold with the jump step. The adjustment and the bucket is good.
And what a beautiful bounce pass by Naylor to kind of put it out ahead so that only he could get it and finish around the rim. That's a great play, and that's a play that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but that's a winning play.
A blink of an eye, and the Scots are back up by 9. Another rebound there, ripped off the glass from Michael McMonagle. Here's Enzor, jump step all the way in, and he could not get that one anywhere close to the iron. Good defense from Lake Highlands. This is the same thing on the other side. Enzor's just camped out waiting for that one. Goes up with contact, can't get it to fall as it looks like a tennis match. Back and forth, and a travel's going to be called as Preston Lawrence, the sophomore, didn't even realize, but he did pick up both feet and walked with the ball there. So back to the Scotties it goes with 3:48 remaining in the ball game.
It's a great timeout called right here. There's a lot of missed layups, some turnovers back and forth. Get both teams back, compose them, run your sets, and let's finish this game cleanly.
The most, I guess, disheartening thing here for Highland Park is what you're able to look at in the foul column right now. You have Will Enzor with 4, Preston Landis with 4, both of which are in double digits in points. Enzor with 10, Landis with 18 on the night after scoring 20 on Tuesday. But with that being said, you also have Michael McMonagle with 3 points. That's one of your biggest rebounders down low. And if you're Coach Peeler, you have to be careful with what units you put out on the court right now, because if you have a couple of those guys, you're only playing with 8. So if you have a couple of those guys going down, there goes the depth off of your bench. Now, of course, Coach Peeler is going to be able to handle that with the depth that Highland Park is able to have, but with 4 minutes left, still a lot of time left on the clock.
Oh, and there is a lot of time left, and so these guys have to know that on the offensive end, they cannot barrel in the lane, because you best believe that Lake Highland coach is saying, take charges.
Definitely
we know
so.
who has 4 fouls, especially Will Enzo. And on the defensive end, no silly reaching. Just be vertical. You don't have to block every shot. Just contest every shot.
All 3 players who are in foul trouble currently are on the floor. Enzor is going to take the inbounds pass from Preston Landis. Throws an elbow down low. Gives it to McMonagle, who can't put it home. That one just a bit too strong, but a beautiful feed from Will Enzor set it up. The Scots will remain up by 9, 61-52, 3.5 minutes remaining in the ballgame. Spin move, low block, off the glass, no good. Reaching up is Landis. Maxey tried to save it, but Naylor is there to secure that one. Siebold from the foot on the line. Nope, they're going to call it a 3. Riley Siebold again. Unbelievable, and the Scots are up by 12.
And that's a dagger right there. A pull-up 3 in transition, and Riley's saying, see, I'm bold too.
Good play down low from Darius Roden, who's refusing to give this one up. Roden now with 10 points on the game. That's the first foul against Siebold tonight. Roden in double digits. He's got 1 to come here from the free throw line, and it's true. He's only missed 1 tonight. A total of 5 for 6 from the charity stripe. Full court press here from Lake Highlands. Siebold looking for it. How about Naylor from the corner? Why not? Jonathan Naylor, the dagger is good, and the Scots back up by 12.
And did you see Naylor run off after he shot that 3? Didn't even take any time to see if it went in or not.
That three-pointer off the rim and out. Here's Enzor way downtown, rebounded by Naylor, keeps the possession alive. Tried to fit that one into a tight space. It's picked off by the Cats. Other way, Swanner tried to get it to fall. The rebound and the putback is good from Ume. His first bucket, actually that was from Kiner, excuse me, as Kiner now has 14. But a 10-point matchup, 67-57 with 2:16 remaining after this timeout was called by Joe Duffield. And then looks like the Scots, with some solid play down through the final 2 minutes and change, could have a 2-0 record to start off the season.
Most definitely. And I mean, this team, you know, this was kind of an up-and-down game. Started off kind of back and forth, and then Highland Park took the big lead, and then they kind of lost the big lead, only being up by 4, and kind of pulling this game away for now. They have 2 minutes to take it away, and if they keep playing the way that they have this fourth quarter, they definitely will win this game with the way that they've executed offensively and defensively.
You've seen some offensive execution here in the last 2 minutes or so, and one of which from Jonathan Naylor, just wide open in the corner. Naylor, a guy who came in, was looking for his first varsity playing time. Hey, maybe Coach Peeler has a guy he can go to in some times of need, a time of added depth, if Jonathan Naylor can step up and make some shots like that.
Well, people with asthma, they need their inhaler sometimes, and maybe these Highland Park Scots need a Jonathan Naylor.
Oh, I like it.
And so
you're so good with the play on the words. I love it.
I actually thought about that one for a minute.
Okay,
I
good.
Tried. But they were pressing out there, and you can bet that the Lake Highland coach wanted to leave Jonathan Naylor out of all the players wide open, and he had to pay the price at that point.
McMonagle back around as Landis swings it to Wagner. The weave is in full effect here for Coach Peeler and company. Saw a huge possession the other day where Highland Park was able to take almost 50 seconds off the clock against South Oak Cliff. And because of that, that was really the dagger in that game. There wasn't a big three at the end that was able to take this one or that one out of reach, but it was more so just good ball movement and the handling of the rock that was able to tick down the clock. Look at Highland Park. 40 seconds have now gone off the clock almost. Wagner trapped right near midcourt. McMonagle's going to get it on the dump off, and McMonagle all the way to the hoop hits off of Darius Roden, and so it'll stay with the Scotties. Dylan Powell will inbound it here to McMonagle, who can't handle it. Initially, it's going to go all the way to Cade Wagner. Wagner with a baseball pass, left-handed, too soft, and it'll be picked off by Roden.
And even then, that was a minute that they took off the clock.
Long three-point opportunity, no good. Enzor's there to rip it off the glass. And he tried to throw it, instead threw it straight in to Swanner. And McMonagle's going to just catch and hold here, so will Landis. Enzor's calling for it on the baseline. Buying some more time, and finally a foul called. So Highland Park will be in the bonus, a 1-and-1 to come. As Enzor will head to the free throw line for the first time tonight. Enzor has 10 points again. Another double-digit output. He had 13 the other night. Be interested to see how close he is to a double-double here. As he's definitely had the assist totals working. And the first free throw is true from Will Enzor.
And how about this Scots team here tonight, Kyle? Proving that they are the higher Highland team out of Lake and Park.
Hey, there you go. You had to think about that one as well, too.
I did. I've been thinking about that all game.
That's what I thought.
Don't tell anybody that.
Okay, I won't tell anybody, I promise. 34 seconds left until the final buzzer of this one. A long three from Lake Highland. Ripped down by Michael McMonagle. The foul will extend this one as Swanner will send McMonagle to the charity stripe. This one just about over. Just a matter of fact of when, not if. This one will come to an end with a Highland Park win. They'll be 2-0 on the young season with wins over two solid programs. A win over South Oak Cliff and a win over Lake Highland as well. They'll move on tomorrow to play the Homeschool Athletic Association at 4:30 right back here. And then they'll turn around and take on TCA Saturday morning at 9 a.m. That's a TCA team that lost by 22 today to Rowlett. So it looks like Highland Park may be on a collision course with the Rowlett Ball Club, and I heard that they had some pretty magnificent athletes on that Rowlett squad. Haven't seen them just yet. Might have to look up some huddle footage of those guys, but apparently they're pretty good as well. So we'll have to see what Highland Park's able to do against that team, hopefully in the championship game.
Well, I mean, we know what Highland Park is going to do. First time me and you commentated a game was in the Burke Burnett tournament.
Yeah, it was.
And so they get to the championship game. They play a great Burke Burnett team. A couple of balls don't bounce their way, and they lost. And so every championship game, we get excited, and we know it's going to be a show.
Oh, yeah.
Either way. So I'm excited.
Definitely so. It should be a fun one right here from the Highlander Fieldhouse. Last year, Highland Park ended up playing 35 games. They were 25-10, 14-0 inside district play. Undefeated district season again for Coach Peeler as he was able to sweep his way through the entire District 15 5A, and then, well, looking to do it again here in 2017-2018. McMonagle 1 for 2 from the line, 70-57. So the Scotties after this one will be averaging at least, if not over, 80 points per game here through the first two games, as the offense has definitely been working for Highland Park. Inbound from Powell, gives it to Landis. He's fouled again, and so Preston will head back to the free throw line.
And I'm not understanding why they're fouling at this moment, Kyle.
I could see the frustration on your face.
It would be different if it was a single-digit game, but 13 points in 17 seconds. Unless Tracy McGrady's sitting on that bench over there. I was about to say, Tracy
McGrady's done it before.
I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Maybe I'm a glass half empty guy, though.
You might be. I like to think of you as a pretty glass half full kind of guy.
I try.
You try.
I try. But I guess that's part of being glass half full.
One of the good things, though, for Highland Park is that with this free throw, and it is good, so now Preston Landis hits the 20-point mark for the second straight game. Landis with 12. Siebold once again with a high output, has 16 as this lay-in is good. Clock continuing to run, and one final pass will do it. Enzor chucks it up all the way to Cade Wagner. I thought for a second he may have elevated, climbed the ladder for a highlight reel dunk, but that'll do it. Highland Park able to secure their first win at home in the 2017-2018 season by a final score of 72-59 here against the Lake Highlands Wildcats. And Kennedy, as we wrap this one up here from Highland Park, what are your final thoughts on the game tonight?
It's good. It was a good fight. It was a good test early season for this Highland Park team with only 8 guys to play against a team that could knock down some shots. And so big credit to them for taking the shot in the mouth early on, fighting, building the lead, taking another shot in the mouth, and still keeping the lead and finishing this game off.
We'll get you the stats updated tomorrow. Like I told you, though, Preston Landis probably the player of the game. 20 points, another outstanding night for the senior as they high-five the student section, and they make their way to 2-0 here on the young season. So that'll do it here from Highlander Fieldhouse. They'll turn around tomorrow as the HP Scots Classic